Hello everyone. So today we're gonna talk about our technical outlook, what happened most especially with dollar, and we're gonna check some macros before we start. This is just a recap of what happened during the week and what we could expect in the coming week. Most especially that the tariff is incoming on April 2, and let's have a technical analysis for this one. So first, before I go through the charts as displayed here, usually what I go through is just check on the macros, what will happen, and what are the market drivers for the coming week. I think the main market driver for next week is the tariffs. So tariffs are will be coming on April 2 with 25% on imports. So that would be a pressure on the US dollar. And at the same time, let's look on the charts, what we could expect for next week. I mean, on the economic calendar. So you can go through actually in FinLogic's website. We have here our economic calendar and just filter out the red folders for next week. Next month. Yep. So let's focus first on the dollar. So primarily, what we could expect also, aside from the tariffs, is the NFP. So this would be a big catalyst for next week. And as we can see that based on the previous readings, we have a 151,000 non-farm payrolls data, and we are forecasting lower than the previous, which is not good for the US dollar. And if you're gonna look at the charts, the dollar has not been doing much. So if we're gonna look on the daily time frame, though we have broken out of this range, this resistance, and also this another range, still I am not convinced that the dollar would immediately recover from these lows after hitting this 103.373 level. This is the low of the last November. And this upside move, this rebound is not yet strong enough for me since there are a lot of concerns that's happening in the US market, in the US economy, most especially with regards to the volatile decisions of Trump. So it's not looking good for the US dollar, for the currencies. That's why a lot of investors, a lot of market participants have shifted from the US market to the emerging markets, most especially in the Asian markets. As you can see on this chart, the Hang Seng Index has been going on a momentum since February, actually since January this year, after Trump imposed a lot of threats with regard to the tariffs. So if you're not gonna ask me what's the impact of tariffs, why it's so much of a big deal, the reason for that is, of course, if tariffs or the trade taxes, imports or exports are increases, prices would increase. This would also lead to a higher inflation. And if the economy or the consumers aren't able to keep up the pace with the taxes, the imports, this would not really give the currency a boost, particularly in the dollar. So for me, what I'm looking at the dollar right now is um, it's been going on slow since this week actually. Actually, since the first week or the second week of March. So it's been going on a sideways motion, And if you're gonna observe the price, dollar keeps trying to go on the upside, but every time it tries to go on the upside, it gets engulfed, it gets invalidated, meaning that despite the optimism of the market, still there are a lot of large institutions who are still offloading their positions. In this case, long positions against the dollar. So if you're gonna look at the COT report or the Commitment of Traders report, we're seeing that a lot of large speculators, or this are the people who we can call the institutions, maybe the hedge funds, they are already offloading some of their long positions, and they have lessened their long positions for the dollar. And if you can see, they're bumping up their positions for gold, which is, for me, if the gold is being bumped up, it means that uh, if we're gonna choose between safe havens, gold is much a safer haven compared to the other currencies. So if this is the case and we're not seeing enough momentum for the dollar, and if the catalysts that we have for next week, most especially NFP, and actually the ISM, the PMIs would also give the dollar certain move. If the prints that will be released next week would be negative, so this would not be good, this would not be beneficial for the dollar. So if the case is we have a weaker dollar, meaning it would go down, this would benefit the foreign pairs. So the foreign currencies, most especially currencies in the Asian region. Right now, before we go through that, um, we need first we need to check the volatility index at the same time. Based on the volatility index chart, um, usually the 20 levels are what we call the fear levels. So what does this mean? If the levels of fear are increasing, the market might be on a risk of sentiment. So meaning, if the markets are on a risk of sentiment, usually the money flow would go through to another market. Probably, if not the U.S. market, it would be the West European market, the Asian markets. But right now, it's the Asian markets who are actually gaining momentum. So this is the yen index. So despite that the money flow might be going to the Asian countries in the Asian market, yen has not been doing so well. One of the reasons that the yen is not doing so well is because of the um, dovish stance of the BOJ. So what does this mean? If the BOJ is dovish, they would not raise interest rates. If the interest rates are low or not going on the expected numbers of the investors, it would not bring any uh, would not bring the yen on a good side. So that's why the yen is going on a downside right now. Actually, we already broken the 747.1 level. We already mapped this out on our, of course, in our preparation. I'm not sure if this has already been uploaded in our um, education or market analysis um, in ACY. So let me just check. Ah, yeah. I think this has already been uploaded. So if we're gonna see here, the target for the Japanese yen is 747.1. So if we see continued weakness with the yen and a break of 747 level, this would trigger further weakness for the yen. So what does this say for the other pairs paired with the yen? So of course, they would be on an upside move. So let us check the yen pairs. So currently, if you're gonna look at the yen pairs, the pound, the euro, the Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, CAD, and Swiss, they're starting to create a bullish sequence. So whenever I say bullish sequence, it only means that the price is going on a higher high and higher lows. High, higher high, and higher lows. Sorry. High, higher highs, and higher highs. Higher lows, and higher lows. So if the highs and lows are on an sequence on an upside, we could say that the currency is currently on a bullish stance. So we just need to look at the index yen, what's going on with yen. Of course, we would easily know what would happen to the currencies paired with it. So going back to the dollar is not yet for me strong enough for an upside unless we get into the red folders next week. We saw a catalyst, and it's either would look good for the dollar or not. Our role as traders is just to react what the market would tell us. So right now, what we could do with dollar is we need to map out the levels that it might create potential direction um, for the dollar. Let me just remove these drawings. So currently, usually I go onto the higher time frame first. So I look for the resistance. So in this case, this is the resistance level. Whenever you go to the charts, always map out your levels. Where is the resistance? Where is the support? Because on these levels, we can expect or anticipate a big move. Either it goes outside of the range or it goes back inside the range. So right now, it's creating this range. And what I usually do to determine how healthy price is inside the range, I go down to the 4-hour time frame and look where it consolidates or creates a range the um, inside the sideways market. So what you can do is you can get your Fibonacci tool and just map out the 50% level. So if the dollar is ranging on the side of this range, this might look bullish for the dollar because it can have an impending breakout soon since it's lingering near the resistance. So if price is ranging near the support level, we could say that uh, there might be a bearish sentiment on the dollar based on where it is currently moving inside the range. So right now, what we're seeing with dollar is currently in the middle of the range. So for me, based on how I observe the price, if price is ranging in the middle of the macro range or the bigger range, probably there's still an indecision, meaning it's not yet giving us a high probability of a bullish nor a bearish sentiment. So what we could do with dollar is before we go to the major pairs or create decisions on the major pairs is we need first to wait for a breakout of either side of this chart. So another thing is if you're gonna see the moving averages, usually moving averages are not reliable if the price is going on a crisscross motion. So what we could do is we could turn off the moving averages, and once price breaks out either on the resistance or below the support, that's a time we could only decide or make execution opportunities for the majors. So why am I saying that as much as possible we want to um, stay away from a ranging market? The main reason for that is it's really hard to trade a market that doesn't give us a confirmed direction. So if there is no direction, it's of course it's hard for our position to appreciate or to gain, or even it would also affect our emotions because it's not going on either direction. So right now, what I suggest with US dollar is just to wait out the sides to be broken, either the resistance or the support. Until then, we have to observe what price is gonna do, most especially for next week for the incoming non-farm payrolls, the NFP, and actually the FOMC also, it would also give us a hint what the Fed is gonna do for the next coming months. I think the Fed, based on Bostic, um, they're looking at one rate cut for this year because inflation has not been tamed yet based on their targets, I believe. And that's why we need to watch out for this data that will be coming this week. So just go to your FinLogic's website and go to your tools and your economic calendar, and you will see here your red folders for the coming week. So as of now, we wait, and most especially today is Friday, and markets and the liquidity are actually dying down during this day. So if the dollar is not giving us concrete direction or an obvious direction, we can actually see that in the majors. So looking at first in Australian dollar, US dollar, let's go up. As you can see, the Australian dollar is still on a sideways. But right now, if we're gonna look at the chart, we already have broken out of these two ranges, this previous box and this previous box. So the box have been plotted based on the support and the resistance. I just like it to do it this way because it's easy to plot the whole support and resistance by just drawing the box instead of using the trend line one by one. So it takes a lot of time. So this is what I usually do in plotting out my levels, the support and resistances. And right now, if we're gonna look at the Australian dollar, we're still on a sideways motion. But what's good about the Aussie dollar is it already broke out of this resistance, not just once but twice. And since we are already ranging above these two boxes, these two ranges, this is what we call the trend shift. So it already has shifted from this previous move of a downtrend, and right now it's currently consolidating we could see an imminent breakout on this one on the upside as long as the dollar breaks down. So that's our trigger for an upside. If the dollar breaks down, we'd like to see an upside on the Aussie dollar. So that's what we want to happen with Aussie dollar. And the next thing is, of course, its nearest counterpart, the New Zealand dollar. Same case, but with regards to New Zealand dollar, it's it's much more of a choppy market right now. Though based on the previous um, news or fundamentals that we have, that the New Zealand has already shifted from a recession to probably a good environment for the people. The New Zealand dollar has not been looking good since. So as you can see, it's been going on a high volatility sideways motion. How do I say that it is high volatility? If you could see the candles, it's going on a long upside, and then it gets invalidated, then long upside, then it gets invalidated frequently. So this market is so volatile right now, so it's not um, the best time, I think, to participate in New Zealand dollar unless it breaks out. So that's our key driver. Um, Wait for the New Zealand dollar to break out. But before that, I know that a lot of traders who's watching right now, they only trade one pair at a time. What I usually do for me to determine, since Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar are correlated pairs, what I usually do is look at the Aussie and New Zealand dollar pair. So if we're gonna look at this pair, as we can see that um, the Australian dollar versus the New Zealand dollar, the clear winner on this one is the Australian dollar. So if the case is that we have a weak US dollar, automatically we go long on the majors. But the question is, what is the better trade with those correlated pairs? So if we're gonna look at the Aussie and New Zealand dollar pair, we can see that the Australian dollar is on a much more bullish stance versus the New Zealand dollar. So if we're gonna compare the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar, as you can see, it's clear that um, the Australian dollar is giving us a sign that it's willing to go up. But if you're gonna look at the New Zealand dollar, it's still on a sideways motion. Okay, so if we're gonna create the boxes here, and this one, and this one. So as you can see, um, there is still no shift in trend based on what's happening in New Zealand dollar. So if I'm gonna trade either of these two, I'd prefer the Australian dollar, as it is more obvious that it's shifting from the downtrend to an uptrend. So that's what you do whenever you have the dilemma of choosing between two pairs. So just look at the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. But of course, our main reference for this one is the US dollar. So that's why I suggest that before you do anything else, you have to wait out what the US dollar will do in the coming days. So probably next week on a Monday. I think on a Tuesday, um, PMI would give the dollar a kick or a catalyst for a movement on either side. But if we're gonna look at the forecast, it is much lower than the previous, which is not good for the US dollar. Next up is, before that, we still need to look at if there are any red folders for the New Zealand and Australian side. Yep. Based on this one, next week, the RBA would hold its interest rate decision. So I think the interest rate decision for the RBA would be a pause. So we need to wait for further data for this one. And if this would be a pause, probably based on how I understand or how I forecast Australian dollar, if the RBA, the interest rates would be a pause, this would not give a benefit on the Australian dollar. So it might go bearish. We don't know. But our role is just to react if or respond if the Australian dollar breaks out of the range. So right now, this is our catalyst for the Aussie dollar for a breakout on our range. So if this does not break out, if it goes down, probably we would see a movement on the New Zealand dollar because if the US dollar is let me go into the charts. If the US dollar, let's say for example, is weak and the Australian dollar, I mean Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar is also going on a downside, the better trade for this one, comparing the Australian dollar, is the New Zealand dollar. If in the case that the rates would be bearish for the Australian dollar. But normally, if there is a rate pause, um, it would not benefit the currency. So these are all assumptions. These are all anticipations. So what we can do is just wait out what the RBA will do on Tuesday, April 1. So let's go to the European markets. Firstly is the Euro USD. Based on what's happening with Euro USD, we're seeing that it's not gaining any traction right now. So despite dollar's weakness, we are not seeing any momentum or strength on the upside for those euro dollar. One of the key reasons that the euro is not giving us a signs of upside is right now, I think there has been a delay on the aid on Ukraine. So prior to that, the European Union has already vowed to support Ukraine, but I think there's been a delay on their support in their military aid on Ukraine. So that's why the European markets are not gaining any traction right now. So if we're gonna see look at the if we're gonna look at the um, German index, so we're also on a downside move. The same with FTSE 100, so and the UK 50. So we're not seeing any traction on the European market right now since what's going on in the euro side is not looking good with regards to the war in Ukraine. And previously, Trump, I'm not sure that the guy wants to have peace in that region because he has his own terms. And I think he wants a chunk of the Ukrainian land. I don't know. But if we're gonna look at the news, if we're gonna observe what's happening, I don't know. The European side are not looking good right now because of what's happening in the war. And another thing is, uh, some of the members are bumping up their defense budgets. So they're just maybe they're getting ready for a war. I don't know. So who knows? Those are just assumptions. But if we're gonna look at the charts, it's obvious that the European markets are currently bearish right now. So what we could expect or look at, what we could anticipate for euro is currently we have a sideways range on this one. Right now, it created a support here. And prior to that, it created a quick resistance on this level. So if we break out of this level on 1.083 level and break out of the moving averages and stay above it, probably we might see an upside or traction in favor of the euro. Let's look at the pound. The pound, on the other hand, despite dollar strength, it tries to hold, uh, it tries to be firm on its upside move. So currently, we are on a big sideways range with the pound. So right now, we already broke out of the 50% level, the equilibrium, as I call it. What we want to happen for pound is, first, of course, we want a weaker dollar. The second is we want this price to consolidate above 50% of the range. So this would give us a hint that the pound is now ready for an upside move. But right now, we're still on a ranging market. What we want to wait out for this one is, of course, primarily the PMIs for USD next week and the NFP, of course. So let's look at the economic calendar for next week for the both with the euro and pound. Yep. What we only have is the euro. So basically, if the inflation rate of euro goes down on a year-to-year basis versus the forecast and the previews, a lower inflation rate actually is not beneficial for the currency. What's the reason for that? Supposedly, if the inflation rate is down, the mindset is it's good for the consumers, it's good for the banks, but the reason for that it would not be beneficial for the currencies is if the inflation is down, there would be no rate cuts, potential rate cuts for that interest rate hikes um, for that currency. So if there is no raise in the interest rates, of course, if you're going to invest on something, you would shift to a much more higher interest versus on a much lower interest rate. So yes, the people don't like inflation, but if we want to bump up or we want a currency to appreciate, it might it might sound not good for those who are listening, but a higher inflation rate is good for a currency. Of course, a higher inflation rate means higher prices. So if the consumer could keep up the pace with those rates, with those prices, it would bring growth eventually, of course, to the country and to the currency itself. So right now we're looking at a weaker inflation rate based on the forecast comparing to the previous. So if the inflation rate is lower than the previous or the forecast, what would happen to euro? Of course, you know the answer. It might continue on its bearish stance. So that's what we're gonna wait for next week for the inflation rate of euro. And if we're gonna look for a better trade, of course, we need to look at the euro pound there. So right now, based on what's happening with euro pound, let's map out our ranges. If we're gonna look at the ranges, it keeps breaking down, and we are trading below the moving averages. So what does this tell us? So if the euro pound is going on a downside move, it only means that the pound is having its dominance over the euro. So if again the dollar is going on a weak side, where you're experiencing a weaker dollar, and the pound, euro pound is, let me just hop on the charts just to illustrate this better. I know that a lot of you here are better at visuals. So if the dollar again is on a downside and the euro pound is on a downside, this would only mean that pound is gaining traction over euro. So the better trade for longs is the GBP. So what if the US dollar goes on an upside? We're experiencing a bullish dollar. And the euro pound is on a downside. Of course, what we want to short is the euro dollar. What's the reason for that? What's the narrative behind that? Since the idea, if the dollar is we have a stronger dollar, we look for shorts against the foreign pairs. It's easier to pull euro on a downside versus pound, since the euro pound is going on a downside, meaning pound is gaining traction over euro. So the charts are messed up. So basically what I want to tell you is, if we're gonna look at the US dollar and the combination of the euro and pound, the idea is, what is easier to pull or push based on the strength of these two currencies or these two pairs. So that's the main idea behind that. What market or what asset is easier to pull or push based on their strength? So going back, looking at our um, euro pound, it's clear that pound is gaining strength over euro. So if we're gonna compare this euro and the pound, it's clear that the euro dollar is much more of an obvious downside versus the pound. So if we're gonna go longs, thinking that we have a weaker dollar, the better trade with this one is the pound. So of course, I'm not saying that if this is a better trade, you trade it immediately. But what I'm saying is you need to wait out for levels to be broken out first before you participate in the market. So as much as possible, as I have mentioned earlier, we would like to participate where there is already an ongoing trend, because it's easier to know or to see that we are on a right direction. It's much better to participate whether you're on, of course, we don't want to be in a loss, but it's easier or it's much simpler to participate in a market whether it's on a downtrend or an uptrend compared to a sideways market. Maybe a lot of you are banking your positions in the sideways. Yeah, that would, of course, that would be good if the favor goes on your side. But another question is, what if it doesn't? So it would be a double-edged sword for you, and it's not good for your, of course, your P&L. So continuing with our majors, before I continue with the USD CAD and the USD Swiss, let's look at the USD yen. So if we're gonna compare the USD and the yen based on the indices, if the dollar is on a weak side and yen is also doing the same thing, what I usually look at is what's the fundamentals behind both currencies. If we're gonna read the fundamentals, the yen is currently on a dovish state, meaning that the BOJ is not looking for any rate hikes. And currently, the dollar is hinting, uh, before they're hinting like times two rate cuts this year, meaning it would not be beneficial for the currency or for the dollar. And right now, based on what the Federal Reserve has commented or what Bostic commented, they might lessen the rate cuts this year to just one. So what does this mean? If the rate cuts supposedly be twice this year, and right now they might be shifting from a one rate cut, this would mean that inflation is still not being tamed, and a rate hike is needed for them to, of course, reach their inflation targets. So if the fundamentals are telling us that uh, dollar or the US is more of a hawkish stance versus the yen, we could see an upside on the USD yen. So right now, we are already breaking out of this range. So if we're gonna trade this, what I usually do is, since we're currently on a sideways um, move on this side, though it's not looking sideways, we're gonna look at the 4-hour chart. But if we're gonna look at the hourly chart, this is a sideways move. What I usually do is, after a breakout, I still wait out for another range, a much smaller range on a lower time frame. And if it breaks out, I get into a trade and put my stops just below the range or the moving averages. So that's how I approach the support and resistance levels. So what I usually do is look for confirmations before anything else, right? So that's it for the USD yen. Let's look at USD CAD. So right now, USD CAD is still not um, gaining it's not yet showing us a clear direction. But right now, we're gonna look at USD CAD. It's consolidating below or ranging below the 50% of the range. So this is actually hinting us that despite that it's inside the range, it's showing us that the CAD is gaining traction over the US dollar. Another thing that, fundamentally speaking, what makes the Canadian dollar strong versus US is um, probably the response, the retaliatory response of Canada over the tariffs that Trump imposes. So we don't know what will happen next week once the tariffs have commenced. But right now, what I'm seeing with USD CAD is we're currently lingering below the support. I mean on the support level. So price is currently flirting on that side, and we don't know what will happen next week. But what I'm seeing with USD CAD, CAD is currently bullish versus the USD unless we have further developments indicating that the tariffs are weighing down on the Canadian side. So right now, if we're gonna look at a bearish stance on USD CAD, what we want to happen is previously it tried to break down, but it didn't and just wicked off the support. If we're gonna look for a bearish stance on USD CAD, we need a breakdown of this level first. But if we're gonna look for a strength on USD, of course, we want a breakout on the support level and at the same time the 50% of the range. And eventually, if USD keeps on gaining strength or traction over CAD, we want to have a breakout on this level and ultimately reaching this out. But of course, those are it would take time for those to happen since this is a daily chart. But right now, what we're seeing with USD CAD, USD is not gaining any traction over the Canadian dollar. With regards to Swiss, nothing much interesting with Swissy since we're still on a sideways. Although the Swiss is being considered as a safe haven currency also, but right now we're not seeing any strength for both of them, knowing that the Swiss is a safe haven asset. Um, as for me, I'd like to stay away on this currency, though I don't really trade this one because I don't like how the USD Swiss moves. So if we're gonna look at the previous moves, it always creates a wick. So I don't like trading those kinds of market with where it creates a lot of wicks. So yeah, this is the DNA of USD Swiss. So yeah, and let's look at what gold is telling us. Right now, gold is on a renewed all-time high level. I actually traded this yesterday from this breakout and got stopped out in here. And I actually entered another one on this level and got stopped out again. My stop trail. So for those who are not asking, my profile is I am a day trader, so I don't hold the markets on more than 24 hours. So I usually hold the markets within just a few hours. So um, I actually mapped out this uh, outlook this week. What will happen to gold? This one. So if we're gonna look at um, the title, is gold gearing up for the next bull run? So for me, gold is still the gold market versus the other currencies. The reason for that is of what's happening in a geopolitical scale, what's happening in other markets. Usually people flock to gold because of uncertainties. So another thing is a lot of banks like Bank of America, Goldman Sachs are already projecting much higher price for gold. And if we're gonna look at the commitment of traders, again, uh, the large funds, the hedge funds, the institutions are already increasing their long positions on gold. So if we're gonna look at this one, it's already plus 25,000 positions on gold with an overall net positions of 25,709 257,932. So that's a big number telling us that gold is being bumped up by these institutions. So what does this short position telling us? Why are we seeing that there is a plus 3,650 on short positions? Probably because these numbers are telling us that they're take they some of the large institutions are actually taking profits also. All right. So it doesn't mean that they are net long on gold. Doesn't mean they're not taking profits. So probably these numbers are just profit taking on their side. So what could we expect on gold on the coming days? So I'm actually looking to trade gold today. I'm looking at a target on 3,073 level up until to the 3,100 level. What's the narrative in this case? Why this 3,073 level? I usually use the Fibonacci extension. So I forgot where I plotted it originally. That's why I'm getting this number. Oh yeah, I actually forgot. But if we're gonna look at the psychological level that we're gonna target on this one, is a 3,100 level. But if we're gonna use this extension on this one, on the early time frame, you could actually plot out the support and the resistance, and the possible targets are 3,076 to 3,093 level. Ah, all right. So I now remember how I plotted it. I think on this range. Yeah, anyway, so that would be my target for gold. So another thing that would bump up gold's price probably is the tariffs. If we're gonna look at the previous news regarding Australia moving their gold reserves around the world. So they're doing it on a fast pace because of the import costs. So with the tariff lingering around, of course, moving stuffs around the world would cost much. So right now, this is what I see with gold. So how would I trade this today? So based on an hourly chart, of course, I need to wait for breakout, which is price is currently doing. And the next thing that I would do is I'd like for the 15-minute to give me a sideways motion before I enter. So let's say, for example, it goes on a sideways on this one. Why do I always wait for a range after a breakout? First is for confirmation. The next is optimal stop loss placement. So I don't want to place my stop loss behind this level because the reward would be too far. So I'd like to create precision on my stop loss. So if the range is or the gold is going on a sideways on this one and it breaks out, my optimal stop loss placement would be just below the structure. So that's how I do it on a day trading perspective. So that's it for gold. And the last three, what we're gonna look at is the US indices. So currently, right now, the downside is materializing with Dow Jones. So if we're gonna look back again with our market analysis, I think yesterday, yep, on the 27. So you can just look at this market analysis on this site on ACY and just read through our articles. And we also have other analysts that you can look at with their, of course, personal analysis on the market. So right now, what I'm looking at with Dow Jones is, let's look at the daily. Currently, it's reacting at the 50-day moving average. And we're looking at for me, I'm looking at a further downside on this one. After price breaking, it tried to break out of this level, but it was not sustained. Um, Probably this is just a rebound, this move. So if this is a confirmed bearish move on the Dow, what we want to look at or what we want to see is if it breaks down from this level. So a breakdown on the 42,150 level could trigger the Dow on a much downside move, given that it is also currently trading below the moving averages. And another thing is we are already anticipating a tariff, a commence of tariffs on April 2. So that would not be good, of course, for the companies because of higher costs. So that's it for Dow. For Nasdaq, I think what's pulling Nasdaq down is the tech stocks, the Tesla, the Nvidia. I'm not sure what's going on with the charts on those markets, but let us see. Nvidia is going down. Tesla is going, yep, it tried to go on a rebound, but yesterday it failed to break out. If you're gonna look at that wick, so that's not looking good for Tesla. So um, what we could do with Nasdaq is, of course, further downside is also obvious on this one. If it finally breaks down on this level, we might see further downside on Nasdaq. And potential targets for that is targets at 19,350 to 19,100. And eventually, we might reach 19,000 levels. And lastly, the SPX. So currently, SPX is trying to hold its ground on the on the support level of the previous range. So let me just remove this drawings. Actually, previously we already mapped out potential target levels on this one after reaching the 5770 level. It went on a downside. So this is not a magic number. This is just an anticipation that we do where price would create a resistance. So right now, um, SPX is on a sideways overall. So a bearish stance for this one, just like the others, is a breakdown of the support and eventually reaching out the support level on this one. So that's it for our markets for next week. Um, what Also the recap for this week, what happened. But right now, what I highly suggest is wait out for our catalysts, especially with the USD. Wait for the catalyst for USD and just react accordingly based on what price is telling us. So for more analysis, you could check out our website, acy.com. You could look at the latest news. You could look at our market analysis contents. You can also actually look at our YouTube channel. So if you're gonna look at our videos,
Hey traders, in
this would be helpful in your journey. So other than that, we also have market education that you could look at. like this one. I have shared a simple way how to read the trend. So by using the methods that I'm currently using in my trading, so you could read through with this, and this would be helpful for you. How can you create your bias based on the trend? So that's it for me. Um, Maybe next week in the coming days, I'll be sending out Discord invites. So you could join my Discord channel, and in there we could create real-time analysis. So you would be able to receive updates also gonna happen during the day, especially me as a day trader. So that's it. And thank you for watching this video. And I hope that you would like, subscribe, and share our channel so you would, of course, get updated with our new videos. So that's it. My name is Jasper Sita, your market analyst in ACY Securities. Ciao.